Hi everyone, my name's Steve and today I'm going to talk about 4 different ways that you could practice to improve the sound quality, the tone in the top register. So the first thing that's really important to know about the top register is that we really need good airspeed. Every time we go up an octave, the airspeed doubles, and that's a scientific fact. So from a low G to a middle G, the airspeed needs to double. From middle G to a high G, the airspeed needs to double again. So we need really good airspeed and really good support for high notes. So 2 ways that I practice that are 1, to play flutter tongued. So I'm going to demonstrate all of these using a sort of little excerpt from one of the Sarti gymnopedies. So normally I'd play this in the middle octave. But for the purposes of working on top octave, I'm going to play everything an octave higher. So, number 1, flutter tonguing. This is great in the top octave for checking that your airspeed and your air support is where it needs to be. So you're really using the abdominal muscles to keep the pressure, keep the air support, and keep your tongue rolling. If your tongue won't roll, so this is flutter tonguing with the tongue, really important to say that, not the throat. Won't work with the throat, it's got to be a tongue roll. So there are sometimes a few people that really struggle with that. So flutter tonguing, rolling the tongue. If the air speed and the air pressure isn't sufficient, the tongue won't roll. So immediately you know that there's a problem there. Similarly, singing a drone while playing. This was a technique first showed to me by Juliette Bowsor, who's principal flute of the London Philharmonic Orchestra. So she told me that she does this a lot when she's practicing high notes. So sing a low drone, low in your vocal range. Etc. And so you keep the drone low, keep the air moving through those top notes. Next, it's really important to say that one of the main problems that we can have with top notes is pinching the sound with our lips, using our lips, making the aperture between our lips too small. So there's a tendency, because we know we've got to work harder on higher notes, to grip the sound with our lips, and actually the opposite is necessary. We need to create a lot of space inside the mouth, dropping the jaw, widening the space between the upper and the lower teeth. And we need to not, especially with the top lip, not push down or sort of squeeze the air or pinch the air with the top lip. The top lip needs to come maybe, well, it needs to be soft, needs to be supple and not too rigid. So one way that I try and make sure that that's the case in my playing is I sort of just flare my nostrils. So flaring the nostrils for me does 2 things, and you'll have to try this and see if it works for you too. But when I flare my nostrils, there's a sort of connection here, and it just slightly lifts my top lip. Helps me to make sure I'm not pressing down on the sound with my top lip. At the same time, it also widens the nasal passages, so you've got those nasal cavities then for extra resonance, which in the top octave is really important. You're widening the space here, so you've got lots of mouth resonance, and opening the space here for added resonance. So really make sure that you're not gripping the sound, that your lips are softer than maybe you think they need to be, and try flaring the nostrils and see if that helps. You could also overblow 2 octaves at the harmonic, so you're playing the low fingerings for the G and the A, but you're playing 2 octaves higher than your fingering. So you're really working here, you're really working with the abdominals to keep the pressure. You're working hard in the middle here, but you're not gripping. That's the important thing. And the final thing that I do to practice top notes is use Jeffrey Gilbert's ghost harmonics exercises. If you're not familiar with these, it's basically an exercise where you finger a low note, you start playing very softly, you gradually increase the air, increase the air, increase the air until the sound breaks up into a kind of middle octave note. You keep increasing the speed and the pressure of the air until the sound reaches the top note that you're fingering. In this exercise, I like to reach the top note as quietly as I can. What I'm always looking to remind myself of when I use this exercise is what is the minimum amount of air, the minimum speed, the minimum quantity of air that I need to use to make the top note sound and resonate. So I don't want to play it loudly, I just want to know, oh, that's all I need. I don't need as much perhaps as I think I do. So if I do a low, perhaps high F, so finger in the high note, blow softly to begin with, and also when I get there, I'm thinking about the space here, I'm thinking about flaring my nostrils, I'm thinking about all of the other things to try and make that sound really nice. Here's an E flat, top E flat. That time I sort of got there as a straight note with no vibrato, and once I sort of felt like it was okay, just try to check it out with a little bit of vibrato, see if it's resonating. Same thing, here's a G. So I'm trying to be a bit more open here, supporting the air, resonating inside the mouth. Once I've got that, then I can decide if I want to add more vibrato, if I want to be louder, if I want to use more air, trying to keep the resonance. One of the things to say about the ghost harmonics is that when we start low, we've got lots of lower harmonics in the sound, lots of lower partials in the sound. If we can maintain those lower partials as part of the sound quality when we get to the top, that's going to give those high notes a bit more depth, a bit more, almost like a bit more bass. And it's going to stop them sounding too sort of shrill. We want the sound to be round. We don't want the sound to be too piercing, because that's really quite difficult to listen to, and actually it doesn't project as far either. So trying to use this ghost harmonic exercise to maintain those lower harmonics as we get to the top. there's a few different exercises, a few different things you can try out. You've got ghost harmonics, you've got flutter tonguing, you've got singing a drone, you've got playing harmonics at 2 octaves above the note that you're fingering. And always try and do this like I've sort of demonstrated with the gymnopody. Try and do it on a nice sort of legato melody. So you're blowing through the notes and you're actually still thinking about the music and phrasing rather than just practicing isolated top notes. And always beware of the sound you're trying to make. If you know how it can sound, then you've got something that you're aiming for, which I think is really important too. Happy practicing, good luck with it all.